So tonight's little town hall meeting was brought to life by the WTCC PAC, which is Washington Township Concerned Citizens, and it's a PAC by citizens for citizens, and it's this bipartisan effort to bring voices to the citizens of Washington Township. I have a little list of conduct for this evening. If you don't have a handout, go ahead and raise your hand and we can get one to you if you want one. And make sure everybody signs in if you would like to. We have note cards for questions if you don't want to ask them aloud. And you can always come up here. We're going to try to get to those towards the end. No unruly behavior will be tolerated and only raised hands will be answered. Kind of standard stuff here. If you want a yard sign, be sure to check that box over there and we'll get one to you. The venue tonight was rented by Washington Township Concerned Citizens. And as so, we just want to make sure we're respectful of the venue and get out here about 8:30 so we can be respectful of all of you as well. So that's about all I have for you. The candidates are Jerry Ayers, Kenny Bryant, and Troy Colvin. And they're going to give you a short bio, and then we'll tell you where to go from there. Thank you.
I'm Jerry Ayers. I tell you, I know all about technology, but you might not believe it. I am a 35-year employee for Duke Energy. I had lots of different jobs, but basically I was a staff engineer, field engineer, district engineer, and then moved over to the operations part of it and was the district superintendent for Rushville, Shelbyville, Franklin, Greenwood, Newcastle. I moved around a lot. And in that job, I was responsible for the engineering departments, substation, transmission, and distribution for those districts that I served. A part of those duties was I spent a lot of time with budgets, both preparing construction and maintenance budgets, reviewing them, and making sure we met the budget, or at least I also was a communication electronics in the Air Force. My main job that I had in the period I was in there, I was in charge of the maintenance and installation of the intersite cables, all the cables that interconnected the Minuteman missiles in North Dakota. I was also the base top secret cryptographic officer, which meant I gave the secret codes to the B-52s and the missile silo operators. And in the Air Force, another part of my duties was I had to do budgets. Military public budgets are a lot different than when you're in a business like Duke Energy, where you're appreciated for not spending money. In the military, it was a little bit different than that because we spent 9 months that way, watching every dime we spent, and then we spent the last 3 months trying to spend it so it'd catch up. And spend a little more than we were budgeted, so next year we'd get a big increase. And I'm afraid that local government kind of follows that idea, so. I think that's
Okay. Hello, I'm Kenny Bryant. I've served on the Washington Township Water Authority for 16 years, I believe it is. Currently president, been president for the last 10 years of my terms. Day to day, I own a small business, Heritage Floors in Greenwood. We're a full line commercial floor covering contractor. I do our budgets, day-to-day operations, manage schedules, customer bases, all that type of thing. I know small business, that's my background. Purdue grad, don't know if that's good or bad. I was a little leery of saying that, but, so I've got some business background and, know Washington Township pretty well with the water corporation, and, so hopefully we can put that to good use. Troy?
Good evening. My name's Troy Cobbin. I currently serve on the Washington Township Board. I was placed there, or appointed there in 2017 after Jay Sears vacated his spot. One of the things that on the board, I'll try and be a voice for y'all. I've got 27 years, fixing to be my 28th year in the fire service. I work at Ellsville part-time. I'm a full-time paramedic, and I teach at Ivy Tech. So I'm glad to be up here tonight to answer y'all's questions.
Okay, so before we open it up to questions and answers, I would be willing to guess that 95% of you are here to hear one and one thing only, and that is, what's the A.B.C. plan? Because we've heard through the grapevine, all over township, they're anti-fire station, they're anti-this, they're anti-that. That's not true, folks. I normally don't like reading from notes, but the answer to this question or whatever, there's so many points and it's so dynamic, I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. So I do apologize, I am going to be reading to a certain degree. The A.B.C. team is planning on staying in the NMFT. NMFT is Northern Monroe Fire Territory, and continuing to operate the temporary fire station at the Old Pointer Sheet Metal site for the next year, since the current administration or board, keep it in mind, Troy was appointed to that board, so we want to make sure we have a little bit of separation there. But they signed a 12-month lease already. The lease then goes, after 12 months, then it goes to a month-to-month type lease. During that time, what we would like to do is use that time frame to gather information. One thing that we have found in the 18 months or so that the PAC's been formed and trying to bring light to this whole subject is getting accurate information is very, very, very difficult. We uncovered lots of emails and different things. If those of you that was here last August, we went through all that. We're not going to do that tonight because that's where we've been. We need to look at where we're headed. But during that year, we want to collect the data. We'd like to explore all the possibilities out there, since the current board, we feel, didn't do the due diligence prior to where we're at today. There are grants that we can apply for. We can establish a TIF along the I-69 frontage road and the Sample Road and Chambers Pike area for commercial businesses to help ease the burden on us or you, the taxpayers. Being elected to the board, we will get access to information from the fire territory trustee that has been withheld from us in the past 18 months. This information includes run reports, logs to determine actual run numbers, and run breakdown of types of runs, such as actual fires, station tours, auto accidents, backup for Bloomington, and training. We will also look at response times for runs, how much time elapses between receiving the call and arriving on the site. This information will help us evaluate what our true needs are and where our needs are. During the next year, we can also evaluate all the other possibilities that might be out there, such as contracting fire protection, a Washington Township owned and operated fire station at a fiscal responsibility. Our possibilities of joining the fire district / countywide fire protection, which is becoming a very hot topic, no pun intended. If elected, we plan to sit down with the county commissioner and see what the plan they have for countywide fire protection is. The A.B.C. team also wants to work with residents of Washington Township to gather information and ideas they might have going forward through the use of postcard mailers informing you of our progress throughout the year. A minor expense compared to the tens of thousands of dollars the trustee and current board, less Troy here, we're willing to authorize for consultants and attorneys, but unwilling to spend the dollars for mailers to alert you about the dramatic property tax increase that we all seen in 2017. I don't know if you guys have picked up on it or not, but one of the things that we found pretty ironic is since we formed the PAC, we sent out a mailer last August, and we had a meeting in this building, August 25th timeframe. But the PAC was formed with, just a bunch of us residents and people donating their money and things of that nature, so where we could rent the building and put out postcards and things. And one of the things we thought was kind of interesting is when this whole fire station territory thing was going on, the current administration did the bare minimum to get the notice out to the people. They published it in the paper, which the paper is at an all-time low as far as subscriptions, things of that nature. We sent out this postcard and this place was packed. Since then, if you've noticed, you've started getting postcards from the township of meeting notifications, fire districts sending out notifications. It's amazing what has happened. And, if you look at spending a few $100s when you're wanting to spend millions to inform people, it's probably a pretty good idea. So, that is the $1 million question, as I've called it, as far as what is the A.B.C. team's plan? Because I've heard so many people say that, we're anti this or we're against that or whatever. That's our plan. We want to work with the Washington Township residents. That's who knows the best. That's who's paying the bill at the end of the day. So that's the most important. I'm a Washington Township resident, taxpayer, so I like to look out for the best interest of my finances, and that's what we're trying to do for you all. So at this time, now that we've got the main question out, if you would like to raise your hand, if you've got a post, or if there's a postcard that you want, we can start with that, however you want to do it, but this is your meeting. We'll answer any question that we can. We won't make up anything, I promise you. If we don't know the answer, we'll write it down. If you give us a way to contact you back, we will email it, call you back, whatever the best way to get back to you. We want you to be as informed as possible. Deanne.
Could I mention that there have been probably 30+ meetings in the past year and a half. All of you have been so involved in all of that. And now with the voting coming up, there are 3 more people to help you. And they're on the Bloomington Township. They will be on the Bloomington Township board. And the thought is, I know you've all pledged to do the 3 things. Lower the property taxes to a reasonable amount, not 52% overcharge, and have a new fire station, but more modest, in a location that will help all residents with their fire and rescue. And the third thing is, you're all budget trained. You've all had experience in doing budget work, so that's what you've said. You will come across with a more cost-saving, transparent budget. And now the nice thing is, I think you have 3 more people to help you, and they would be on the Bloomington Township board. I've seen 2 here tonight, and if you want to introduce them. But the thing is, I've discovered it's all about 2 votes. The votes of us, the residents, getting out and voting, and to put you 6 of this, especially you 3 in, and then once you get there, you will all have enough votes to be a majority to win this thing on the township and fire territory board. Otherwise, the last year and a half, all you've done, the petition, the hearing, people coming from Indianapolis, all of that will be for naught, because unless the voters get out and realize we've got to do it, it's not free. You can't just sit back and let everybody else vote or not vote, because then we won't get you in there. Thank you.
Thank you. You bring up a lot of good points. One thing that hasn't been mentioned that I definitely want to make sure everybody here knows, the PAC had one main goal in mind. When we formed a year and a half ago, our main goal was to get this thing slowed down, pump the brakes on this thing, let the voters of Washington Township, let their voices be heard at the polling booth, okay? We feel like when Bloomington Township finally said, hey, we can't be on the hook for spending this money if they end up backing out of this territory, that was a huge victory for us. We're not saying we're pulling out of it. We don't know. We want Washington Township residents, now that they've been informed, now that they've been educated, go to the polls and make it known. Simple, right? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so one of the things you touched on, and something that's gonna be crucial moving forward is communication, obviously, from the board to the residents. Is your plan, you guys get in to continue mailing things? Is that continued, method of communication, how to get the word out to the residents? And then, you know, as far as, the board meetings and stuff, is there a plan to make those at a more convenient time for everybody? I know there was some discussion in the last meeting about them being odd times, early in the evening, whatever, where people couldn't come to them, or maybe going to a web-based platform where people could view them remotely, provide feedback in other ways. You know, can you guys elaborate on your answers?
Actually, it's a great question, and that's something that communication is key. We got to communicate. We got to be transparent. It's your money. It's your township. Okay. Our plan is, as we stated before, the township actually has a surplus in their general fund of, I don't know the exact number, but it's over $200,000. If we can't afford to send out a mailer as a PAC, we got enough donations very, very quickly and easily to put on this. The same amount, actually it costs the township less money to send out mailers than it did us, because they get bulk rates and things of that nature. If we can't afford to spend a few $100s to inform our citizens, we got big problems. We have full intentions of sitting down with the proper folks, getting some things in the works, doing our homework, getting some ideas from the township residents, sending out mailers, having special meetings, get people to come. Let's get your ideas. Let's get everybody's buy-in, and let's make this happen. You bring up the point about the meeting times. I know when we first started going to these meetings, and it's hard to keep track of all these meetings. Some of them are kind of kept secret, and there's been closed door meetings and things of that nature. But as far as the township meetings, last Thursday of every month, 6 o'clock at the church. Simpson Chapel Church, I'm sorry. They used to be earlier than that. We did throw a fit about that because, you know, us working folks that are out there trying to, you know, make money so we can pay our taxes, we couldn't even get off work in time to get there. So 6 o'clock is the agreed upon time. And if that doesn't work, then that's something we need to look at. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you. I see another hand.
Yeah, Kenny. I appreciate you guys putting this on and allowing folks to get a better understanding of what your goals are. I am interested on the fire district, and I'd like to know what your opinion